I think we have a quorum and it's 9:31, so how about we get started? Let's take a look. Has everyone reviewed the agenda? Any question or concern? Are we all okay with the agenda then? So, motion to approve the agenda. Cindy, thank you. And Diane is the second. And all in favor? That looks unanimous. So good. All right. Then the approval of the minutes. Has everyone reviewed the minutes? Are there any questions or concerns? Everyone all set?
I noticed there were some comments you had made that weren't incorporated in the latest minutes that we received. Did you have a chance to discuss that?
I don't know what the reason for.
Remind me which comments.
Karen had submitted some suggested revisions on the minutes about a week or so ago by email. And then looking at the final minutes that we got a couple of days ago, it looks like some of those things weren't incorporated.
Okay.
I was just curious if there was a reason.
You have to remind me what exactly. I did make a couple slight edits after I got them from Candy.
I don't have that word by word comparison.
Yeah, well, the only time I make edits is if it's, for correctness.
Right.
So
I don't know if it's that or something it was just missed or some reason wasn't picked up.
There are times when I feel like I have said the same thing that Karen comes back with a correction, and maybe that was an instance that you saw. So, for example, under number 5 for old business, there was a correction made concerning, it said near the end, the last sentence or so, that the committee meeting is set for June 19th from 10 a.m. to noon, and then my printer wasn't working. So Karen's correction was about who was on the committee, and I had already said that in a different way. So I just left my version. So some instances you'll see that that's something that I've taken the liberty to do, because I've said the same thing basically. So are there other specifics that you concerned or
I wasn't prepared enough to go over line by line. I just noticed that there were some things that weren't. I think like a lot of them are probably very minor items. Now, do you go over the suggested revisions also?
So all of the revisions that come from the board go to Candy, and as the secretary, it's up to Candy to send me the final version.
Okay.
And typically that's the final. There were a couple of corrections that I made on this for correctness items.
Okay. So you're the one that goes over the suggested
Candy's
revisions and incorporate them.
right? Brittany reads them too.
Yeah. Then I read the final after
As
she
all of
sends
you
it.
should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then if there's any other things, then we can discuss them now. But unless you have a specific.
So unless you found anything specifically you want to question, like that's
I'm not prepared
what
enough
So I have a quick one with 6 new business. I added the sentence, as usual, board members will serve as docents during the event, but that was omitted in the final version. And we did
Can you say that again a little louder, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
6 new business. The last sentence I added in my suggested changes was, as usual, board members will serve as docents during the event. And we did talk about that.
Hang on a second. I haven't even found new business yet.
Karen, could you speak up?
I'm sorry, I'm trying.
your voice
I'm
is so
trying,
soft.
but
You've
I
got
have
it.
to say, my dog accidentally hit my.
Oh dear.
Esophagus yesterday, so I'm struggling a little bit with
Okay,
speaking.
sorry.
I'm sorry. I will do my best.
Okay.
Okay, now, new business, you're saying?
I added a last sentence in there, just stating, as usual, board members will serve as docents during the event.
Is that for summer open house?
Yes, and that was
24th.
omitted, and we did discuss it. It is helpful just to have.
We know
I mean,
that.
that's, typically
I mean,
part of the process. It wasn't.
You know, the minutes are supposed to be not elaborated on or things added to necessarily. It's a record of what we did.
Actions taken.
Action taken. And so we could put so many other things in here, but it's not necessary. It's understood. Well, that board members participate. Okay? I spent a good 2 hours or more on these minutes. And I understand the grammar or punctuation, those kinds of things. But I still am the secretary, and I still feel like I have the right to write these minutes the way I feel they should be written.
That's accurate, and keeping that concise is part of that job, and it's difficult. And yeah,
And I feel like that in particular, we all know that. And it wasn't something that was said in the minutes. So,
You saying it wasn't said in the minutes, or you're saying it wasn't said in the meeting?
it wasn't said at the meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is so minute. It's just a thing that we understood. Everyone knows we should be there, right?
yeah.
Okay. So that's why I didn't feel it was necessary to say it again. Anything else?
Can you explain to me why the application needs to be made was removed altogether?
I can't hear you.
In item 8B, you had originally in your language written the application needs to be made during certain times and windows. That in the final was removed
I
altogether.
removed that because it's not an application process, and it was stated earlier that there are times, and it's not that there's no application, and it doesn't need to be made during certain times and windows. There's just a calendar-based process of when those items are approved. So again, just a correctness piece. So that was an edit that I made.
Well, I'm not going to raise any further issues right now. I do believe a point of clarification though is that board minutes are not just solely at the discretion of the secretary or the house manager.
And this is the opportunity
Board
to
minutes
discuss
are meant
further.
for the board members. It is a capture of what the board members' business was, and if board members are accepting of the language, that's important rather than a single person or two people's opinion.
Which is why we give the opportunity for board members to provide feedback before the minutes are finalized, and then now in the meeting before they are further finalized to post online. So everybody has the opportunity for feedback twice before the minutes are finalized.
When I was referring to the fact that I feel like the secretary should be able to write these as they feel they should be written, I was referring to the grammar, how things are stated. And when my sentences get rewritten and I've said basically the same thing, to me that's offensive. And I am not a stenographer. I don't take things down verbatim. I listen to the minutes when I need to clarify things, but I feel like I capture what needs to be captured pretty well. And then we go through the process that you've chosen that we should do, and everybody has a chance to give feedback. And really and truly, if you feel like they should reflect more information, then I'm not the one for the job, I guess.
Well, we spoke in the beginning of the year that these need to be made more concise and more a summary of action. That's what's expected from the clerk's office. And these are still much more detailed than
Yes.
what is necessary and then what most other boards are doing, and that's fine. But Candy's doing an excellent job of making the minutes how they should be. It's a very tough position, and we need to have a little more flexibility with that. Candy and I, and whomever else having to go over the meeting video several times to prepare the minutes is really not efficient, and so Candy's doing an excellent job.
And I appreciate typographical errors, misspelling. I appreciate all those things. There are a lot of things I miss, not a lot, but there are things I miss like that. And that I appreciate, so thank you for that.
Okay. We've had a discussion in regards to how we were going to cover the minutes, and I thought we had come to an agreement that this was the most efficient way that we could do it, and then bring it forward this way. And I thought that it had been working. And I understand what you're saying, that you aren't taking everything down verbatim, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate all you're doing, Candy. I really do. I just I also think that the minutes are the true legal definition of what we do on the board. It's not the video, and it's not the recordings. It's the minutes, and the fact that we have had this discussion, and I think we do have the time to come back over it and discuss it at this point. Now, if we have done the typo corrections and other things, and we don't have to agree on long as the overall details are what they should be. We did discuss about us being docents, because I very much stated that I couldn't be there. And I was corrected by my husband that I could be there on the 24th. And so that's a point I do remember very vividly in the last meeting. So
and that's fine that we discussed that, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in the minutes. Again, they're meant to be a concise summary of actions taken. We do allow for more detail to be in these minutes than is necessary or than is expected from the clerk's office or other boards. So we are already having a lot of extra detail here. So as Candy said, that's standard process for any open house. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the minutes.
Okay. We know it's standard practice. Not everybody does.
And that's fine as well. It's still a lot of, like I said, minute detail.
Okay.
And sometimes that's important, and sometimes it's okay to have this how it is.
Is there any other thought or question before we move forward?
Thank you for the explanation. It's a little clearer on the process of what we go through and your approach to those, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, you're doing very good work, and
Thank you.
I'm sure we all really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you for your explanation.
I read the minutes, and I trust you that you're capturing the things, and then when I see the final thing, I saw the edits and I saw the final thing, and I felt like the final thing was captured what needed to be said, and there was some minute details that.
Thank you.
So, thank you. I could not do your job.
Anyone else? Are we all set?
I have done her job for a long time. I did it, and it's the hardest job on the board, I guarantee you, because I was in several things, and it's a challenging position.
I know I've served in that as well. Thank you, Candy, for what you do. Do we have any motion to approve minutes? Jeff motion moves, Cindy seconds. No further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's do. Yeah. Approved. All right. I don't think there's any public to be heard, so we'll move on to old business. And it starts with scrapbook, the digitized scrapbook.
We did not work on the digitized scrapbook because of the meeting got canceled.
That meeting actually wasn't canceled.
It was actually what?
That meeting wasn't canceled.
I thought you had a dental issue and that you needed the day to do that.
The afternoon meetings, yeah.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of hostility here, and I'm not quite sure where that's coming from because
I
it
just
was
wanted to
my
clarify
understanding
that
that
meeting
it was
wasn't
canceled. And you had a dental issue, and we were just going to go ahead and reschedule that. And I don't understand kind of where that's coming from because
I just wanted to clarify that meeting wasn't canceled from my end.
Okay, well, it sounded like it was, and that's where I took it, and that's where I went from it, and then I mean, I think that whole interaction was pretty hostile, to be honest, on the email that we weren't supposed to meet in the house, and I thought we had gone back by this because when I spoke with Jeff Frazier, he said that we could meet at the house and that there would always be staff to help us open up the house, and there was no reason why we couldn't meet. And yes, in the past we have or were forced to meet at a different location with a different manager, but I had thought we had moved beyond that point.
We do intend on talking about this as a group collectively a little bit later in the meeting. So I just want to bring us back to the scrapbook. And
I just need to reschedule the meeting. But I'm already feeling hostility already, and I don't know what exactly I did other than cancel the meeting because that was my understanding. That we had a health issue and it was not a big deal, and I don't believe I interacted in any way hostile or anything to receive this.
From my understanding, the afternoon ones were canceled, but the morning one Brittany did say could happen because she was going to be at the house. I think that's all she was trying to clarify for the notes, is that the afternoon meetings were canceled due to the conflict of scheduling with her unavailability due to dental, but the morning appointment was going on, could have gone on as planned, as Brittany was going to be here in the house. So I think it was just for the record keeping of notes, as we've just talked about the minutes of what accuracies. That I think that's all Brittany was trying to say. And like I said, we do have the intention of talking as a group about committee meetings and scheduling and all of that as a whole collectively later in the agenda.
With the upcoming items in business, would it be appropriate to go ahead and move that topic up in our agenda so that we can discuss that before we move through the rest of the committees and
If
things
that's
that
where
are
you
going to
guys
be
feel like you want to
future
do that?
meetings, committee meetings? It seems like a natural order of business. Is that acceptable?
Technically, it should probably wait, but I think we can talk about that now if we'd like to.
So would this be an item from staff?
Item from staff.
Okay.
Can I talk about it now?
Yeah. If that's where you guys, if you want to change our route of agenda, if that's what you guys all want to do, then we can do that.
I think we should stick with the agenda.
There should be you guys should vote on that if we're going to switch something now.
It was meant to be under items from staff.
Yeah, so you guys should vote.
Okay.
If you want to move that to now, you should probably vote on it.
All right. Do you all feel like we can move forward with this and then address that?
Yeah,
There is no
let's
need
go
to
ahead.
change at this time.
Let's go
Okay.
ahead. I need to go ahead and reschedule a digital scrapbook meeting, and everybody needs to look at their schedules in order to do that.
I think we'll need to do that after we have that conversation, so we can.
This is why I
do.
Yeah.
That's up to you all.
Okay, so if there's going to be a challenge or an obstacle regarding scheduling meetings, committee meetings that happen here at the house, that is going to cause a hiccup in old business items. We have the digitized scrapbook, we have the patrons of the Callahan House, we have the committees, art walk, room by room tour, faulty and how to get decorating. So those are all things that are going to be committee meetings born out of this meeting. If there's a complication that you know about right now with respect to what you're going to share with everyone, do you think it is a good idea to address that now? Or do you think we can move forward and schedule meetings in-house as we normally would?
I don't think it's a hiccup or a challenge. I want to present an idea on a way that we can better support committee meetings in the house. And so we'd like to do the scheduling after we have that conversation. So as Ben said, it's up to you all if you want to have it now or if you want to have it.
I'm going to go ahead and move that we go ahead and have the staff presentation because it's kind of hindering what we're going to be doing during old business then. So if we can, I move that we push forward and do this staff presentation or whatever we need to clear this issue up and have the other discussion at that point.
So that's a motion by Maureen to move an item from staff up to this point in the agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Chair seconds. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. So we'll pause in old business right now to address an item from staff. And what's the title of the item from staff?
So in order to better support hosting committee meetings at Callahan House, which is, we want that to be the plan A is for committee meetings to be able to be here. To support that better with the schedule of the house and things that I need to schedule here, I would like to kind of propose a way to do that moving forward and then get feedback from you all on how that works, and then we can kind of, as a group, formulate a process and how that can happen best so that everybody's on the same page. So the general idea, and first of all, kind of just to talk about expectations of committee members and chairs and how committees, should kind of be managed. In general, is committee chairs' expectations are to schedule committee meetings, and obviously that can happen as a group if that's easiest. Assigning individual tasks to committee members and assuring timely completion of individual and group tasks. There's some tasks that can kind of take place individually, some that take place as a group in meetings. And just making sure that chairs are maintaining momentum of committee projects, that things are moving forward in a timely manner and being accomplished on time, especially any committees that are involving third parties, like we're working with LPM for the scrapbooks as an example, things like that. And then just keeping the board and myself updated on where we're at with committee projects. So that's just kind of a general breakdown of what's expected from mostly the committee chair, but board members in general in terms of committees. And then as far as scheduling, our plan A is to have committee meetings at Callahan House as much as possible. I know that works well for you all. Typically it can be accommodated. What I would like to do is to set aside some blocks of time on a weekly basis that are available for committee meetings so that, those are easier supported and we're not working around client meetings and venue tours are the biggest challenge for me. A lot of that comes because we, are supporting those on weekdays, and so it can be challenging for clients to get in, and so I really need to keep a lot of flexible time for those things in particular to keep it flexible for clients. So what I would like to propose at this point is to have blocks of time that are available for committee meetings that coincide with when custodial is in the house. Reason being is because I can't schedule client meetings and venue tours during those times anyway, because I don't want them coming through when custodial's in the house. So that would be a good time to have committee meetings. So that's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays, generally from about 9:30 to 12:30. So those are 2 chunks of time on a weekly basis that would be good for committee meetings. 99% of the time probably can be accommodated. Sometimes we do have other things going on, or we have to move custodial for other things. So that's kind of a general guideline as to when committee meetings can best be supported at Callahan House. That said, I do want to just offer the idea that committee meetings, just because Callahan House isn't available, doesn't mean that committees shouldn't keep moving forward. So if there's a time that is available for all of the members and works well for all of the members, to kind of be able to be flexible to think about places where committee meetings can take place off-site. Not that they need to. The default is to have them at Callahan House, but if Callahan House is not available, I would encourage the meeting to still move forward and take place off-site. The library meeting rooms is a place that we've done committee meetings in the past, which works really well. It's free. There's other meeting rooms within recreation that could be available, and I can help facilitate the availability of those. Coffee
Both
shops,
Memorial,
other...
Memorial Building and the Recreation Center.
Yeah.
Both have rooms that would be very appropriate.
Yeah, coffee shops, other public places.
We've met there in the past.
Right, and that worked well. So I'm just asking that there's a little more flexibility in terms of that committee meetings can still happen if Callahan House is not available, because it's important to keep the ball rolling on those projects. The other part of that is the equipment use. Of course, the projector and screen can be available when it's needed for use. I would also like to propose that we kind of train you all to be able to access those items and set them up and put them away. It's all very easy to use, just to kind of, again, help with efficiency of the schedule here at the house. And that way you can access those items when you want to use them.
We'll add in that Memorial Building has an easily accessible TV that can be plugged into that can serve the same purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rec Center does. It's a little more, roll out the TV. There's a little bit more to it, but Memorial Building is really easy.
And then the other piece would be that committee chairs are responsible for scheduling those meetings, letting me know, this is the time we'd like to use the house, confirming when it's available. And that way, if something does need to change, then you all have the access to either move the location or reschedule or things like that, and we're not relying so much on me to be in charge of scheduling those. So the committee chairs can kind of take the lead on the actual scheduling and being in charge of the calendar, or board members, being in charge of their own calendar for that. So that's kind of the general points, is keeping the ball rolling on committee projects in general, time blocks when it's available at Callahan House, and then kind of taking the lead on scheduling those and equipment use.
Would it be better if we met in the auto house out of the way?
The auto house is still used for tours and walkthroughs, so
Okay.
still kind of the same challenge there.
Okay.
So yeah, and I think, if it's during those custodial time blocks, you can meet where, like, if you're using the equipment, you can be upstairs. If you're not, you can be here. It's kind of a little more flexible for you then as well. But that would just be really helpful for me and for the schedule that I need to keep for the house, to kind of know that those times are typically going to be available for committee meetings. That said, sometimes things change, and that doesn't mean that every Tuesday and Thursday during that time is always 100% available, but the
And they'll
majority
second
of the
that
time.
if everybody of you guys is available on one of the times it isn't, we can get you into a building in the recreation facility. The outside of summer camp, when 100 kids aren't running around in the Memorial Building, we have a lot of flexibility with the spaces. There's a lot of rooms. We can get AV equipment in any of them. They're mostly open during the day. We have a lot of classes at night and on the weekends, but again, that whole, if you guys are all ready to meet and talk about things and keep it moving forward, and for some reason the house isn't available, there are other options, and then we can support that.
Or if there's, the 19th was a great example, if there's a last minute change, then there's no reason to cancel the meeting. Continue to move forward in a new location. That was my intention with the ask at that point, was that the committee meetings still take place.
The stability for myself in particular, knowing that, Tuesdays, Thursdays devoted to committee meetings rather than whatever day works. I mean, I like the stability of that and the continuity of it.
And I think that's easy for committee chairs to be scheduling meetings, and with obviously you aware of them because we do them in the board meetings. So that's easily covered. And I do believe that from month to month, progress continues. I think there was a delay in progress in a few of the committees last month, but I don't foresee that being a problem going forward.
That's the hope, is that, again, just because Callahan House isn't available doesn't mean that committee meetings can't take place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's a very rare hiccup that we run into. And if there was it was my understanding that you had a health issue, and fine, so we cancel it and we just move forward. I just didn't understand why all of a sudden we weren't allowed to meet in the house.
It was never that you weren't allowed to meet in the house. It was the encouragement to think about other potential places to meet, and that Callahan House wasn't always, if it wasn't available, that the committee meetings couldn't take place. That was my intention with that communication, is that thinking about other potential places to meet, not that it couldn't be Callahan House.
Okay.
So,
Well, thanks for that clarification.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's the thing about sometimes with the emails or text, tone can be misconstrued. The only issue that I have with on Tuesdays and Thursdays, normally I have my Questers meetings on the second.
yeah, and that's an example of a time, like sometimes Questers is here on those days, which is a bit more rare, but so, and that's, like I said, if everybody's available to meet, but Callahan House isn't, still encourage you to meet, because we need to keep the ball rolling on these projects.
Yep.
And having the use of the projector and screen and being able to set it up on our own will be helpful, because while you may not be aware of it, there are many things that we are doing that is requiring a screen so that everyone can see and we can be working on something collectively together and seeing the same thing at the same time. And that is the reason why a projector and screen is necessary for
Good example.
some meetings that you didn't believe they were. So
It's not about my belief, it was just stating that those items are offered when they're needed.
Okay.
it'd be helpful to have that education on
Saying that
that,
it's
so
gonna be
that we'll
available.
be able to do that, and there won't be a question of whether they're needed or not. Okay.
Alrighty. So moving forward then, or moving back, starting again, restart. Is there any? Go ahead, Karen. I'm sorry, I'm overstepping. Is there any?
No, you're not. I was just not sure if you were asking anything more
No,
about this.
I'm
Does
not.
anyone have any other question about the parameters of this new scheduling, and that we're going to try to stay
share
with
that
Tuesdays
digitally after the meeting, so everybody has a copy of.
in writing,
Yeah.
staying with
Yeah.
Tuesdays and
And then if you have
Thursdays.
any additional feedback, certainly just send it once you have that in writing too.
Point of order. Since you've already moved your manager's report, are you going to continue with the rest of it so that?
The manager's report should happen now too.
Yeah.
Because it
Okay.
moved the whole thing. So.
Okay. Quick, thank you, Sean. I guess, yeah. Any other questions about the committee process before we move forward with items from staff? Okay. Before the manager's report, just a quick note that I did speak with Jamal about that he has connected with well, I should say he has reached out to PBS and is waiting for the connection back. So that's where we're at with that. And I want to see, excuse me, what happens with that, I think, before we reach out to the museum about a viewing at the Stewart Auditorium, just to know what all is taking place with that. So
Was he giving you a timeline on when he's going to get back to you on that? 'Cause
he's waiting to hear from them, so he doesn't have a timeline to give.
Who is he reaching out to?
PBS,
who at PBS do we know?
I don't know.
When did that happen?
I don't know. I spoke with him a couple days ago, and he had reached out and was hoping that he might hear back in the next week or two.
Okay, that's
So,
all I
a bit
was
vague,
wondering. Just from the purpose of moving this forward,
Yeah.
that I would probably give him no more than a month.
Or less? I'm sorry, he's not been timely on so many things. And he's said that he would do things in a timely manner and necessarily hasn't followed through. That's why 2 weeks, I'd give him 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we'll,
I
Do
just think that's
tickler.
helpful to have a deadline so that people understand the expectation. so that it can be moved along.
Okay. Any questions about the manager's report?
I really liked how you changed your summary up from this report to the last report with the last page with the events and clubs. I really like how you had it by months, first, April, May,
Thanks.
June.
That would've made it easier for me, actually.
Yeah, because I looked back to your first quarterly report and, it was complete sentences and words, but
Yeah.
I really liked how you did it this way.
Good.
I did have some questions about financials whenever that's appropriate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Is that fine?
Of course.
Okay. So I usually don't pay much attention to all those numbers, but I went back and looked I pulled my page from your first quarterly report so that I could lay out January, February, March, April, May. And if you could, I don't understand this line. What is a P card clearing?
That's when, that's like an administrative holding spot, is my
Okay.
understanding.
Okay.
It's an accounting thing where that money will then go, it hasn't been all the way through the process to get put into the right line item. That's how I
okay.
understand it. It's
All
an
right.
account, I'm sure.
Because I noticed that
Somebody
it
from
was
accounting
in
can explain that.
January, and then it wasn't in
Yeah, it'll come
February.
and go. We'd like
Okay.
to see zero. That means everything's been, set out.
Okay.
Being my purchasing card that I use for
Purchasing
when we
Yeah,
card.
buy.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
I was like, what's
What
a
is
P
it?
card?
Yeah, purchasing card. So
I
like,
wondered if that wasn't what your question was, because
Yeah.
as a teacher, I have a P card too, and sometimes there's a delay in either me receiving the receipt
Okay.
or
So that clears that up.
clarified.
Yeah, like when I go buy toilet paper and creamer, things like that
Yeah.
is usually what that card is used.
mean
It's
all the
used for all
fun
kinds of
stuff?
things,
Yeah.
but just so purchasing card clearing, waiting
Yeah.
for those items to go through the
Sorry,
process.
I went beyond your question. I apologize.
I was like, I don't know what that is. And then I noticed from January and February, of course, you don't have that in the report, it's back in May. But there was a Callahan salary reimbursement. Maybe this is a similar thing, whereas in February, in the 2025 actual column, it said 270, but then in the February it went down to 225.31. So is that kind of a similar thing where it
Well,
might go up and
the-
down?
That one, Callahan's a little bit unique in that the city monthly pays into the budget.
don't have it as in-
Honestly, I don't know why we do this, why it's done that way rather than just having it at the beginning, but that's what we inherited.
Okay.
So it's a monthly thing, so that money goes in there and then it gets pulled out of there into
And puts in the right
salaries.
line.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
And
how
some
it-
months it may be different. Like some months there's a 3 paycheck
Yeah,
month,
yeah,
or so
it'll
that's why
fluctuate
it
a
might
lot.
fluctuate.
Because that was the only time that it went down, and the other ones it all went
Yeah.
up. So,
And it's based on the pay period.
And then you'll see, and you'll see
which
it
is
go
every
down.
other week, not twice a month.
Correct.
You'll see it go down also as, we start having, the temp staff is pulled out of there too. So
Okay.
if we have more events and more things going on, then it tends to fluctuate down.
'Cause
Luckily, it never goes low. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
concerning, but we always seem to be in pretty good shape with it.
so, and maybe this is just how the columns are, but I've been on other boards that have, we get like they would just say what expenses were done in that month and what revenue was done in that month, whereas this report is like a cumulative
It's year to date.
year to date.
Yeah.
This is what we get from
But-
finance.
Okay.
Yeah, but I did add a new thing for this one that's kind of like the summary of where we're at so far
Yeah.
that I think is helpful that I just created that wasn't.
That last column
I
is helpful,
actually-
yeah.
I was going to comment on that. That was really helpful.
Because it helps too to just see what's going on throughout the year. Because at the beginning of the year, it's slow. We had some months where we weren't making a net profit, but then you can see how that fluctuates throughout the year. So yeah, so this is new. I think it's helpful.
Yeah,
Helpful for me to
I
look
like
at.
that.
I personally thought it was very
The-
I had a question.
Sure.
What's one wedding in May and one wedding in June? This is kind of the wedding time. Were there other events when you said private rentals that that got in on that kind of that Saturday sort of there? Is that what those private rentals did? I'm just surprised that more people aren't choosing Callahan, and I wonder if there isn't, because in my life, Callahan was such a big deal, from my Marines and my rehearsal being here to my sister's wedding, reception being here to my parents' 60th wedding anniversary. So I just wondered, is there something that are we competitive compared to other locations? Do we have the size? Is there some sort of issue around size limitation and everything? Do we anticipate, when the boutique hotel coming online, a uptick for any reason? I mean, just because of the fact that someone can literally walk across, Main Street to get to.
So you're asking about why are there not more weddings?
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
So we have the same amount of weddings this year that we had last year. Obviously, I certainly would like to see more. To try to answer all of that in somewhat of a nutshell also. 2 years ago there was no marketing done for about a 6-month period, and we're still seeing a little bit of the effects of that. I think we're coming on the tail end of that.
Oh, okay.
That also said, across the wedding industry in general, there's been a bit of a decline. The economy is difficult. A lot of people are eloping, and we have some of that here.
I
And
actually saw like a Today Show thing like 2 weeks ago about that.
Yeah, so they're seeing it in catering, they're seeing it in coordination. It's just like kind of across the industry in general, and we're definitely seeing it here. So what we have done to try to boost all of this, we boosted our marketing efforts, we've done the rebranding. I created a sweet and simple package to kind of cater to some of those smaller events. We've done a lot to enhance the venue itself. So we've seen a big uptick in our inquiries from those things. We've got weddings booked for next year and getting inquiries for 2027. So I think for as much as we can be given what's going on in the industry as a whole, I think, we're going to be seeing an uptick. I'd love to get to like 12 weddings a year. I mean, realistically, we're not the type of venue that's just like a wedding venue that are cranking out like 2 or 3 weddings a weekend. But I think 12 to 16 would be great. Like I said, we matched what we saw last year at least. I'd like to maybe get to 10 next year, something like that. But
So two things along that same line. I wonder if I did speak with LPM because I'm on their board, and as their liaison, and mentioned that you guys were going to be reaching out to them about utilizing more of what you you kind of contractually.
For the scrapbooks?
Scrapbooks and other stuff like that. So
been
I
connected
kind of
about that.
hinted to them, so they're aware of that, and I guess they got a double dose of that. And then since we have done a bit of a tax increment sort of financing situation with the hotel that has benefited their bottom line, I'm wondering if
I've already
as
actually
that comes
connected
on.
with the hotel.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
so we're already set up with a room block partnership with them.
Yeah.
That's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah.
We hope that works
Yeah,
out.
I
really
just
well.
I just see
Actually,
that I just see literally between us and the Elks Club and the Dickens that how and just the very shape of so many different restaurants on Main Street that it wouldn't be just so incredibly attractive to be
Yeah,
Here.
I'm really excited about the hotel. I've been in contact with them for almost a year now, and we're
Sorry to
set up
interrupt
for.
you. I just
No, that's
wanted-
okay. We're set up for a block partnership as soon as they're open. Which
Good.
last I heard was Q1, Q2 of next year.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that will be great too. So I'm always looking for those opportunities. The other thing we've done is to really build up our vendor list, which didn't exist previously. So that's something that I've focused on over the last couple of years as well.
So that 6-month period that you're talking about was in between managers? Okay.
So the marketing that's being done primarily is the Wedding Wire, the Knot, Zola, and Yelp.
Wedding Wire and the Knot, which is Wedding Pro. Yeah,
Right.
that's our main marketing stream. That's where
And we
the
pay a
lion's share of our
subscription.
inquiries come
Yeah,
from.
we pay a lion's share of the inquiries. Okay, we pay a subscription for that. What's the cost of the subscription per month?
1,600.
No, it's like 11, 12. It just changed. I'm gonna say 12 to 1,400. Something
Okay,
like
so
that.
12 to 1,400, and for the first half of the year, the 2 quarters combined equal a total number of inquiries of 115. 115 people have contacted or inquired through this advertisement. How many of those have turned into wedding bookings?
I'd have to look at the numbers and let you know.
I think that's a good thing to look at. It is important to pay attention on your return on investment. If we're marketing in the wrong place, we can use those dollars in other places and that could promote the house more.
Yeah,
It
and
could
we're looking
make a
at
different
like
type of
diversified
reach.
marketing, but that is the place to market. That's the place that we weren't marketing, for that time period, which it's just what had to happen at the time. But saw effects of that. So, but that's the primary way in which most people find their venues. We also have seen a big uptick in the direct reach outs, email, online forums, things like that, which tells me that the marketing that we did during engagement season and all of that boost was beneficial because people were coming to us directly rather than from those websites.
I wonder if Becky Doyle's the new survey service that we have. You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah.
I wonder if we couldn't access some of that resources to reach out to community members who were going, I hadn't even thought of that. You know what I'm saying? Because we're close to 110,000 in Longmont, and if we just were reaching out to people that are in our survey area that system accesses, then some people would be like, wow, I had no idea.
You lost me.
Well, okay, sorry.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, sorry.
And could
Becky
you-
Doyle is I don't know what her title is.
Off top of it,
Yeah,
manager.
but they do they have a certain new survey system. Before we were paying out of the the
contract.
to a service that would survey members of the public. Well, we can now survey darn near anybody in any area, right? According to what she told us, and I don't know if you guys were looped
Yeah,
into that.
we're there's a lot of things Becky's working on that we're interested in in the macro sense. But I think in the micro sense, talking to her about that is a good idea of what might be possible and what might be appropriate too.
Well, I just don't know if some people know
I
that
don't-
the facilities we have. I really am still shocked to this day that people just do not know this really exists.
Yeah, Sean, I'm with you. That's she's doing a whole bunch of things that we're interested in working with, learning more about. There's some tracking software that we're hoping to get next year. Placer AI, I'm sure you may have heard of it. Well, you've heard of it. We talked about it in Prab, I think. That might help us here also, and I think it's a great idea. So I'll reach out to her directly on that.
Yeah, I think that's just the way to.
I don't know what their parameters are.
I don't either, but I'm just thinking that if we can, I just, not that I want the grass would be totally trampled down from so many weddings and
balance,
everything like
but
this.
we would like more.
But the utilization of the house is just something else, and if more people are feeling like, wow, this is the place to be, especially with that coming online, the hotel that is, then we want to make sure we're part of that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'll do that. And I think all the things we've been doing
No,
the
I
past
agree.
4 years are, hopefully building towards that, right? I mean, we're making this place better. We're updating historical things. So hopefully make it sustainable is the word I want to get to, that we can have those events and do those things, which are a double thing. We get people visiting the house, but we also produce the revenue to keep positively supporting.
So I talked to Matthew Hopkins, the Ward 2 council member, and his wedding was 3 years ago at Sandstone. And so, this sort of, connection there, if more people recognize that. And, relatively speaking, he's new to Longmont in the last 4 years or so. So when you think about that, that's where he and his wife, who's from Italy, chose to have their wedding. I'm impressed that this is that we could get more people to utilize it if we somehow got more people locally that recognized it. Because I think if we kept tap that local market, we'd be halfway to where your goals are.
And Sandstone's one. I know Brittany's well aware, so she knows Sandstone's one of those venues. If it doesn't work here, maybe it does out there. Sandstone's very narrow because of the parking, because of the access. It's a challenging spot, but boy, if it works for you, it's a wonderful spot. So.
So for the next meeting, would you mind looking to see how many of those 115 inquiries produced a result of a booking of the
Are you
wedding?
looking at 115 just from Wedding Wire? Or, I'm sorry, from Wedding Wire and the Knot?
What you have listed in your event inquiries as Wedding Wire, the Knot, Zola, Yelp, that you have April 16, May 18, June 28. That totals 62 for quarter 2.
Okay, so you're just
Quarter
interested in
1
those
was
marketing
53.
platforms?
So since we are paying $1,200 to $1,400 per month for those platforms, what is returning from that investment? Do we have any bookings from that total 115 inquiries that we've paid now $1,200 to $1,400 per month for 6 months? Do we have anything that came out of that? And again, helpful to know next month. In the events past and upcoming, I have just a question for clarification regarding programming items that are listed, and there's the art classes and after death connections, senior afternoon teas, these things listed throughout the months, and they're identified as programming, and they're hosted here at the house, of course. The Callahan Art and Garden Series, that bit. Are these programming items revenue generating, or are they break even? I know the intent to bring the community to the house.
They're
and to
revenue
encourage-
generating, but not all of the programs are hosted by Callahan. So if it's hosted by Callahan House, we get the revenue. Some of these are other recreation or senior center programs where they're getting the revenue, but we are charging an amount to cover our costs to assist them in hosting those events.
Okay, so some of them we're just covering our cost for the hosting of the event.
If
And
it's
the
not
others
our
are-
event.
Right.
If it's our event, the intention is to be revenue generating, and it always is. Sometimes the revenue is much higher than others.
Yeah, okay. That was just a quick question.
But the purpose of those events is to get people into the house in a new way, not necessarily revenue, but
Right.
certainly we
Right.
don't want to
We've
run
been
those
doing
events.
really well.
Yeah, certainly we don't want to run those events losing revenue.
Right.
Because I was even looking on the May financials to date that we're over twice of what our budgeted expectation for Callahan annual dues. The budget was $1,000, and we've already brought in 2,394. Right?
Yeah, May was a very good month.
So that's great.
And a lot of that was from private rentals.
Okay.
So one was a wedding, but a lot of other, like May, we had a lot of showers and other things. So, yeah.
And what is that unrealized gain loss line in the May?
I have no idea.
Okay, that was one of those. The
Some
P card was a
kind of
mystery, and so is the
Yeah.
unrealized gain
Yeah.
loss.
Must be something hanging out there, maybe.
It shows
that
none.
would that be a
My-
donation?
No, my guess, I don't think so. My guess is that will be zero the next month because it's
Okay.
0 in April. It's probably something like what I was talking about. But
Where
honestly,
it gets
I don't-
divided up to where it's
It-
supposed to be.
Some kind of holding
Yeah.
account.
Yeah, because now it makes more
Could
sense.
be another holding account.
When I was looking at with the P card, and then the next month, some other category was high, like supplies, or so that all makes sense now that
Yeah.
it got divvied up. So thank you for
Sure.
clarifying those things.
Are you warm?
Yeah, is the
Can
door
we-
open?
Can we make
I'll
sure
go
the
check.
air conditioning is?
It's on. I can turn it cooler though.
Yes. Sure. It does feel a little warm. So in your events, clubs, and administration listed on the page 8, you have that additional event garden tables and chairs were purchased to accommodate full capacity. What is the number for full capacity? What does that
125.
mean? 125 in the garden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Previously, we had enough on hand for 100. And the reason when the packages were rebuilt, that was the capacity number. But 125 is comfortable, and I felt that we were missing a few inquiries because we, just that little extra push. Yeah. So, but now that we, the capacity is 125, we need to have the equipment for that amount. So
Nice.
And you mentioned that there's a discount that Wedding Pro offered.
yeah, so we just recently, how it works with Wedding Pro is there's 2 platforms, there's Wedding Wire and the Knot, and they support both of those, and there are different levels of, marketing that are available on either one. Basically, it's just like if you exist, you're listed. Then there's a professional level, which you're on there, but you're not featured. And then featured guarantees you a certain spot within however many listings for each region. And so previously we were featured on one and professional on the other, but they just offered us a discount to be featured on both. And so.
And is that for how many
So now we're
months?
featured on both. It's a yearly contract.
And so for the next year, we'll be featured on
Yeah,
both.
and I think it started in, what does it say, May or April or May. So our contract is
For a year.
spring to spring, yeah. So that was, actually really great. And I've seen boosts from, I think it was the Knot that stepped up, which after some research I felt to be a better platform, which is why I was interested in doing that. So now we're featured on both of those, and I've seen more inquiries from the Knot since we did that.
Nice.
And then the last little thing I was going to ask for going forward. Years ago, we used to have monthly manager reports. We understand why we've changed to quarterly. What we did as a board was we changed our monthly board meeting from the first week of the month to the second week of the month to allow that period of time for reconciliation of the month prior. We don't have any June data on here broken down as you do have the March, April, and May, which is great. But can we get the June data?
It's not
included?
available, which is why it's
And
not
then-
included, but it'll be in the next,
It's
as
just-
we talked about, it'll be included when it's made available. So
That's
that's
just-
why March is in here
We just wait
instead
for them.
of. Yeah, it comes to us from finance when it comes to us, so that's why March is in here, where it, should have been in the last one, but it wasn't available at that point.
Right. So what I was just going to ask is if you'll make sure it's included in the packet next month that we can see the June data.
Yeah, that's
and then
what we've
going
been doing.
forward, can we maybe make it so that the manager's report the quarterly manager's report does occur when we do have all of that data, so that we're not, it's a bit disjointed.
It's going to be 2 months behind then, but
Yeah, you'll have to. So I think your question is: do you want to see it as we get it, or do you want us to hold it up to present it as an actual quarter, which will put it a month, likely a month later.
2 months, I think.
It
Because
could,
like right now,
because they're
we
not
have
consistent
to-
on when they get us
Yeah.
the information for Callahan, depending on what they have going on, whether it's budget or
It's
whatever.
consistency,
That's not my.
and it's not from you. It's consistency
Yeah.
on the other end.
So we could
So
do
right now
that,
we
but
have
it
it in
will
August.
be. It will definitely be.
Ideally,
backlooking.
ideally, it would be nice if we could see it as a quarterly report. If you're saying, well, who knows? It might be even pushed even.
Probably more than likely it's going to be 2 months behind if we do that.
So, August 30th, the city manager, by our charter, has to have a budget presented to council. And so, the things that finance is working on right now that's priority. So you're probably not going to get what you want any earlier for now, because right now a 40-year veteran, Jim Golden, has retired, and so Teresa Malloy is now our new finance director. Or is she?
I think of the
I don't want
CFO.
CFO, yeah, Chief Financial Officer, and this will be the first time that she's done that without Jim. So I would probably say that maybe next year this time we could be better. We could make a request to see if somehow that.
We can move it forward.
Yeah.
That will we get it sooner? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that would be something that I would put on a tickler for next year, this meeting, or last meeting, and see if we can get them to get that data for you sooner, since this is kind of the time, and I think from my perspective, and maybe the board's not seeing it this way, but that this is the critical time to see the number of weddings and everything like that, and the income, because you're probably making some bigger income infusions right now than maybe you were maybe in the middle of January, February.
Yeah, because those are a lot. Anyway.
So I think that's just the tone that I'm hearing from the board, and that you guys would like to see more of that just at that time. But I think that if we ask in May next year to get that to you, or June, then they probably can do that. They can make it a priority, just understanding why that would be important. Just at this frame, if you're delayed in other months, it probably isn't nearly as critical as it is delayed in this month, just to kind of get a feel for how.
So basically a year out before we can even consider.
I would say that probably would be the realistic approach.
So that being the case, I think we keep on where we're
It
at.
just stays as it is.
And we did, like, the March financials, they weren't available previously, but they were included in the May packet. So I have been
Yeah.
including them as soon as
As
they're
they-
next
so you can see
available.
them as they
But I just
come.
also had them in here because this is the snapshot that we had at this point.
Which
so.
it's just discombobulated to because when you're trying to look at a quarterly report. So I understand all of it, but yeah, if we can see them as we get them, I guess that's for the time.
We don't, for example, we don't get recreation numbers till we try to do it on the 16th or so, but the last few months it's been more like the 20th. So that's when we get previous month's recreation. So it's
Discombobulated.
consistently discombobulated.
But consistent. Okay, as long as we've got
As long as
consistency.
that's all.
Okay.
So we'll leave it as is.
Yeah. Are there any other questions from the the quarterly manager's report?
Quick question, how's the fountain?
Weirdly, kind of fine. The thought is that it was leaking a lot at the beginning of the season, and then as things like filled and kind of filled in, we had a contractor come out and take a look at it, but that's why it wasn't leaking as badly as it was previously. That said, we're still interested in having it. It's time to get it resealed and resurfaced, and so I'm waiting on a quote for that.
Okay.
Because we have potentially some extra PBF money this year if we're not doing the repointing, kind of depends, but yeah, I am looking for a quote for that because it still needs done, even though it's not as dire as it initially seemed at the beginning of the season.
Okay, since I've been on the board, we've had consistent issues with the fountain.
It's a tough.
So
it's a tough.
So
piece
this
of-
is one of those
yeah.
issues. Should we have it on a continuing maintenance plan every 2 years that we have to have it resealed, that type of thing? So we aren't
Yeah,
following.
I don't know how often that needs to be done, but yeah, we can look into.
When you get a bid from somebody, it would be a good question for
Okay.
them. What would be a
Schedule.
better PM for it possibly?
Because it is the only fountain here in any of our gardens, our public spaces in town, and it's a shame that we aren't utilizing it and having it on so people can see it and we can use
So
it when
we-
people are in the house.
You're wanting it to just run daily?
Well, it'd be nice if we could run it during summer months. And that's what's happened in the past when the house manager was here. The fountains would be on, and then when you leave, it was shut off. And then, so when people are using the gardens and walking in, they're seeing the whole beauty of it.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
It is how it was in the past, and
Yeah, I'm
it's
just
quite
thinking
nice
like-
that way. And with the
Well,
regular maintenance,
Environmentally, that's a lot of water.
Let's
Yeah.
talk with the guys and whoever does this, and then we can
think
check,
we could look
check
at
with
the-
them at that point.
Okay.
Parks.
I think we could maybe look at a way on having it on more often, but I mean, just water use in general, I think we need to be mindful of that as a city
Yeah.
being
Because
green.
is it circulating?
evaporates.
evaporates pretty quick.
It does, yeah.
How often is it refilled?
Weekly.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Is it in operation?
It's
operational
working,
now?
yeah, it's working.
Again, if we had 20 of them all over town, I would be really worried, but we have one.
And I think it's a very good point. That it is the only fountain in town, and
And we do promote that
We
in
do.
all of our literature.
we do.
So it recirculates, but due to evaporation, it needs to be replenished once a week.
I don't know,
Splash.
in
or
terms of the
swell.
recirculation, I mean,
It's a pump. It's pumping the water up. That you're using
But it may be
electricity.
the splash too.
Yeah, but-
There may be a little bit of
Splash
splash
can
factor,
splash out
maybe a
into
little
the
bit of
yard.
evaporation factor, but
We can look into it.
yeah.
Do you have any idea of the quantity of water that it takes to operate it?
No, I don't know.
And after watching that video of the Callahan House all the time and seeing the beautiful flowers, and I go out there today and I'm like, it's looking kind of sparse. So
Yeah,
is that
thank
just the
you
season
for-
between the flowers?
Well, actually,
Or-
thank you for asking. What we see for the annuals this year is reflective of the order that was requested from 2023 for the annuals order that wasn't able to take place last year. So this is reflective of what was asked for from the board regarding the kind of more toned down and formal garden aesthetic. So just compared to last year, I guess I'm curious to hear feedback on that.
I think it looks pretty Spartan, and when I walked around, the roses weren't retrimmed to rebloom. And I was going to ask, is Grove supposed to be trimming the rose bushes?
They are. They're maintaining them.
Do we? Actually, I wanted to ask. I really I don't know anything about scheduling out the maintenance of the garden year round. Do you have like a brief summary of what's done when and by whom?
Yeah, so Grow is a contractor that maintains the garden. That's contracted by Parks directly. So they're here twice a week, in the summer months. They do a big spring cleanup and then a big fall cleanup. That's kind of the gist of that. They maintain the fountain, they do the mowing, and they maintain the garden beds.
Okay.
So yeah, they're here twice a week doing that. And their head gardener has been working at Callahan House for approaching a decade, I believe. So he's very knowledgeable about Callahan House specifically. In terms of the annuals floral order, that's usually placed in October. And previously, the board had made requests for what they wanted to see and where those should go. In the last couple of years, just based on what's available, we weren't always. Parks wasn't always able to fulfill the order directly, but obviously tried to use that guidance as much as possible. So this floral order reflects the board's, wishes from a year or two past. Going 2 years ago, heading more towards the formal aesthetic. So.
But did we get all the plants that we got all of them? Did they survive, or did they just?
Yep. Yeah, this is the order from
And
that
are
2023
these
order.
mostly perennials or?
The annuals order.
Annuals.
Yeah, annuals, yeah. So like the main
So-
bed around the fountain specifically, and like a lot of those main beds are annuals mostly.
So they're pretty much at their peak.
Well, they look pretty Spartan.
I agree.
And as far as the roses go, they hadn't been trimmed, and if we retrim them, they'll rebloom. And if we're only trimming them 2 times a year, that's
we
one of those.
maintain them throughout. Yeah, they were just very much in bloom, so I think we'll see them.
They don't look very good.
I almost brought
walking
my
up,
clippers.
They don't look very good.
It was helping out because I'm like,
I can make a note that it looks like they might need to be retrimmed.
yeah, because they're not going to rebloom. They won't rebloom if you don't cut the deadhead them and reuse them and reuse them. That's not what I meant. Deadhead them and
To encourage new growth.
yeah. But okay, well that's something that we need to think about then.
Well, I do believe that the board's goal for the garden was to restore it to a formal garden.
Correct.
And what you're saying is based on our requests, some things were attainable and other products had to be used in substitution.
No, what I'm saying is that the garden this year reflects the order that the board had asked for from 2023. So last year, they weren't able to get the order as requested, and so we got what we got, and it was beautiful. Grow and Parks worked together to decide what we could get and what made sense in the different areas and all of that. And so, based on that, this year, we kind of went with whatever they could get, but they were actually able to repeat the order that was requested 2 years ago that we weren't able to get, and then that's what we're seeing this year. So I do want to make that note that this is what was requested in 2023. Well, from 2023 for last year.
So we need to revisit our decision.
I think revisiting.
Potentially.
think
And
revisiting
the idea was that what
plenty.
could happen was that we kind of lend to Parks and Grow's expertise in choosing the annuals, and that's what we saw last year because that's what we had to do. But this year they were able to get the order, and then this is what it was.
And I want to have a clarification. In my head, we were trying to make it more formal, but we weren't like lockstep that's what it had to be. We just wanted to look more formal and whatnot, and we were willing to work with whatever we could fill in to still maintain the garden to its quality, because we're known for being one of the prettiest gardens here in the community. And
So in 2023, it was actually very specific what came from the board in terms of the annuals order and the guidance for the aesthetics. For 2024, which wasn't able to take place because of just annuals, what was available. So last year with the blue and the red and everything that we saw, that was like what they could get. It turned out beautiful. We got lots of compliments on it last year. This year they were able to get the order. I don't know. This is what it is.
I think it was a recommendation by Anne and Anne's expertise in what she has worked in the garden in the past.
It was very specific about what types of flowers and what
did.
areas.
It was very specific in where they went.
Yeah.
That was my understanding. I
Right.
thought we were going to fill in more with whatever needed to be done to maintain where we a certain level. So that's my understanding, and I'm sorry if there's been a miscommunication, but I didn't think we had voted on I think we voted on that these are the suggested items. I don't think that was said that
I don't
this has
believe
got
a
to be it.
final planting plan was
This is the plan
decided
for
on.
2023 that we had hoped for in 2024 that couldn't take place. So I'm just sharing that information
Well, I
so
think
that
it's
you can
Yeah.
see
Proven, like
the
Candy said, I
result
think it's proven
of
to
that
be.
order.
Let's look at some.
We got to be
Yeah.
more flexible
So I
because
think-
that's not. If that's the way
The ask in this past year was to be more flexible from the order that was asked for in 2023 because we had to do that last year.
Right.
This year they were able to meet the ask that came from the board, and this is the result. I'm just telling you.
Right.
So I
okay,
think
but
what
I
was-
just want to relay that
So-
that there's a miscommunication, at least on my side, that isn't what that wasn't my intent. My intent was, if this works, great. If it doesn't, let's rely on the people that are planting and working on it, and that's.
Well, I think that's where we are.
That's where we are.
So I think what I might suggest we do is add to the new business of next month's agenda, formal garden. And that's when we really do need to probably dive in and look at what these planting plans are looking like and determine a better avenue.
I think the point that I'm
To-
trying to make is that we should refer to Parks and Grow
The
to
people
make
that-
more choices out there because they did it last year and it was beautiful. This year is the result of the requests that were made in 2023, and it sounds like we're not as happy with it. So moving forward, we should refer to their expertise to make the gardens what they should be.
But do we want to have a discussion about what suggestions we would carry forward to them, such as, like now, the garden looks really overgrown. We can't be having it look like that.
You feel that the garden looks overgrown right now?
I
Yes.
do in certain areas. It definitely does.
Okay, I'm hearing that it's too sparse, and I'm hearing that it's overgrown.
Sparse around the
so-
fountain.
It's
Sparse
sparse
around
around
the
the fountain,
sparse with respect
overgrown
to
around
color.
Yeah, and
the-
this is
But this
is coming from the order from the board for 2023. So that's what I'm
I
trying
think-
to relay.
Can we focus on forward? Can we go ahead and
Yes, and I'm
let's-
saying moving forward, I
let's-
think it's
let's
best to
put
refer
this-
to their expertise.
Yes, but let's put this on next month's agenda so that everyone can say, at least say, someone might say, I'd like to see more color in there, specifically these colors. Someone might say, I'd like to see something. And though these are suggestions, those suggestions can be carried forward, and then those experts can take that and do what they can with that.
Yeah, that was
and
what we
apply
did
it.
this past year. That was.
But things look very overgrown, and I mean, just
Around-
a bit of an out of control jungle, in my opinion. It looks that way to me. So
In what area?
in the
Around the
garden and
driveway.
around the walkways, and you can definitely tell in the excuse me, you can definitely tell in the rose bushes. Those are not properly cared for. So now that's a separate maintenance and care is one thing. Planning and planting is another. But if you walk the lawn, the lawn hasn't been leveled.
Oh, no.
And
That,
we
I think
talked
we were
about
clear
that
on
wasn't
that.
gonna happen
That
this year.
that was
And-
not going to be able to happen this year. So.
And it still needs to happen. So that is something we
I
need
agree,
to talk about. We
That's a
also need to
balance.
talk about, there's spots in the lawn, they're dry, that are brown. What's happening there?
We
Why?
had some issues with the irrigation that's been repaired and it's been overseeded, so that's being worked
Okay.
on.
So,
So the irrigation
But-
system's working properly now.
Now,
Hopefully.
yeah.
Yeah. Who's responsible for the irrigation system?
Parks.
Parks, okay.
are we okay with that, including this as a new business item, just to allow board members to bring any idea or thought that they have for suggestions?
What do you want it to say?
Formal garden,
Just formal garden?
yes, that's our focus. It's formal garden discussion, because
And
it is
keeping in mind that that's something that will take place over several years as we've talked.
Right.
So they've done a lot
Right,
of
but
cleanup
from-
over time and more of it is expected.
Yeah.
And-
While you look down the road 5 years from now and have kind of a game plan for that, you also have a here and now and next year. So that's that's all part of it, but for
I'll
everyone to
comment
have
on the
some
big picture.
discussion there.
So, as you may or may not know, Parks and Recreation is officially rejoined, which is a good thing from my perspective. It always should be that way. We also have a new superintendent in Parks as of just a couple months, Ben Bratton. And we've worked with Ben before on, he's the growing guy previously, the supervisor. So I think it's a new opportunity to work better as a team, and I am excited about it over time. So I think I'm going to be optimistic. Now, resources are resources, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's the budget thing. That's him.
So who's the top guy over?
David Bell.
Oh, David Bell.
And Ben Bratton's the superintendent. He took Timber Tosti's spot.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
How's the Beatles?
Starting.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be here every year from now on.
Somebody brings soap.
Everybody's welcome to come do some soapy water beetle mitigation at any point, because that's about the only thing that. And how much it helps there. Just it's a challenge every year, unfortunately.
You know, Art in Public Places, each one of the members goes to each one of the different installations and takes ownership for doing, making sure that they're well maintained. So, soapy water, people are up
Soapy
to
water for days.
Well, I have to go to a different meeting here soon, so I want to make sure that you get through this while I'm here to support you all, so I can carry this on to council.
So we'll move that on to our formal garden discussion on the new business for next month's agenda. Does that wrap up everything regarding the manager's report or questions regarding any of that? Okay.
Thank you, Brittany.
Then I think we can move back to old business, and we're at digitized scrapbook where Maureen, I think you're making direction on why we need to go with this.
I wanted to schedule a meeting, and who could work on that?
Okay. So trying to stay with a Tuesday or Thursday from 9:30 to 12:30, I think is what our focus or our goal is. And being that
15th, we've got a group here, but the 17th is available in terms of next available.
I can't do the 17th, unfortunately. I could do the 22nd, and and I can't do the 24th. So can anybody come on the 22nd?
I can make that work.
So that's Jeffrey, Karen, Maureen.
Jeffrey,
And all are invited.
22nd?
And all
Should
board
make that.
Okay.
and all board members are
Well,
invited to also come.
And you said 9:30 to 12:30? So 9:30? Okay. 9:30 on the 22nd, though.
And then I'll add that to our calendar.
Thank you.
But then the committee chair, based on what we talked about, can either send out an invite or everyone can have it in their calendars of their own accord.
And that's upstairs.
So,
Either way, yeah.
so Brittany, you're saying you're not sending the invite out.
Correct. And the reason being is if any changes need to happen, then that way you all have the capacity to be in charge of those changes.
Okay.
How do I access the calendar? Just
It'll be on this calendar, but it doesn't, like in terms of you're sending an invite, it doesn't need to come from.
so I'm not over inviting people and messing things up. Is that what you're doing?
Well, that's not the purpose.
Am I being called out,
But no, you're not. It's more so that committee chairs are responsible for like organizing. and scheduling.
Okay. I just need to make sure that I'm doing it correctly.
Yeah, so you can just do it like from your own calendar, or just ask everyone to put it in their own calendars, or however you want to manage that. But
Okay,
so
thank
that
you.
committee chairs are responsible for like
All right.
aspect of the scheduling.
And that way I'm not messing up everything. All right. And,
So the
I
projector
feel
and
guilty.
screen are needed for that.
Yes.
And the
So
scrapbook.
that can be the first. We'll go through that training with whomever is there, and then as we see more people come to committee meetings, we'll just go over it with anybody
Okay.
that hasn't seen it yet.
Okay. Nice.
All right. Does that cover that morning?
Yes. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to patrons of the Callahan House. The committee did meet on July 1st. We accomplished 4 steps. We attempted to create a step-by-step instruction for the online donation process. We considered the time of year, specifically which month. We believe the annual patrons of the Callahan House Appreciation Event would be best hosted. We reviewed and revised the patrons spreadsheet that has an individual and family tab and a business and organization tab to keep the 2 separate so that we can begin gathering and consolidating contacts. And fourth and final, we discussed additional ideas about how to share information with the public about the patrons of the Callahan House. In this 4-step process of our meeting, we realized all of us brought our electronic devices to try and step through it together. And in that process, we realized that this current online payment platform is just simply not user-friendly, and it just doesn't work. And so we looked at the platform that's being used by the Longmont Museum, and it looks is very user-friendly, and it is what we would like to use. So what we would request is that we be allowed to have the same platform that the Longmont Museum uses for payment for this program.
I can look into it.
Okay, thank you. And our hope is this. We know that at this point we won't want to promote the patrons program at the July open house after all, because of the fact that we have a broken payment system, and it would be embarrassing for the house and everyone involved to try and promote something that people are going to struggle with and effectively fail in the process.
Did you
what we
do
would
this
like-
on July? I'm sorry to cut you off. Did you do this on it was July 1st?
July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is related, but we've been for the last 2.5 weeks. We've been undergoing some severe issues with rec track related to mass attacks on our system. So they closed down some areas without talking to us. There have been some real challenges, and I'm wondering if that affected what you guys are trying to do. I don't know that.
I don't know, but I know that we all each had our own separate mobile
but if
device.
it's all shut down.
And just stepping through, we were able to step through, jumping through hoops and over logs and things to get through to.
That's what I'm wondering.
It all
But
came
it is
through
a-
because I saw the email. I think they're just saying in general that
Yeah.
WebTrack is not user friendly, which no, it's
No, I
not.
agree
It's also
with
how
that.
everybody registers for events and every other payment that we take for Callahan House and in recreation in general.
So
But
we'll-
no, it's not
we
user
can look
friendly.
at it.
Definitely agree with
But
that.
there was other things that were
Yeah.
happening though. So like for example, if I went in and tried to register and I was curious, what would a business have to do? So I went in and I went as a business. Then I went back out, didn't register who I was or anything along those lines. Went back in. I was automatically always assumed a business. It didn't look at me any other way. It wouldn't allow me to change anything else. If I pushed the button and say that I wanted to do an individual donation, put me right smack back as a business person to
Okay.
go ahead and do it. It wouldn't allow me to do it. After the first 6 or 7 times, I'm frustrated.
Oh,
I'm
sure.
done. I'm not donating at
I'm
all.
with you.
And I'm just like going, okay, if this is, I understand it's not user friendly, but it's different when it shuts you down completely.
Exactly. I agree. I hear you. I hear you. So let me look at the museum thing for sure. I don't know what they use or whether it's something we can adapt. I mean, that can have to do with financials behind the scenes and how they go through. I don't know.
What about
Let me look
starting
at it.
with like the things that you'd like to see differently? Because I think you
Well,
mentioned that
let's-
you were going to provide a list for that, and then see if Ian can make some updates to what's there. Because I think like that part of it is not necessarily rec track or web track. That's like how the forms are set up or how that page is set up. So like something like that, we might be able to make adjustments to.
It sounds like if all of you
we
have
try.
that much trouble, we'll
Well, because if you filled out
we'll
the,
follow up.
because we have our own form that we want filled out to keep record of who's a patron.
Right.
But then when it gets to the donate thing, you still had to log in, you create a username password for
Recreation Department.
Web track, yeah.
web
Yeah,
track.
yeah.
And then, so I could see somebody, here, I just put in all this information, but now I have to,
Re-put it in.
Re-put it in.
And it's like, I'm done. I don't want to do this.
but it seemed like the
Let
museum
me look
was,
at
So as we
Give me
were
a chance to
trying
look
to
at
step
it.
through and continue to find anything that could be fixed, we all just threw our hands up and said, this is not fixable. So-
I'm excited about this, to be honest with you, just because I think it's not everywhere has to have this. You know, library is kind of logical, the museum's kind of logical, Callahan's logical. Golf probably isn't, and the pools and rec and some of those other folks, but this one's unique in its own right. So I think this is a direction that is nice for further taking care of the facility here. And what I'm hearing them say is that they're going to look into it.
Yeah, and our hope is from what we talked about during the committee meeting, our hope is that we will have that in place so that we can promote patrons of the Callahan House in the September Art Walk open house event. So that's kind of the timeline that we're hoping for, to have that in place and functioning and up and running. So just to give you a heads
I
up.
won't
that's-
promise anything,
I know you
obviously,
can't,
but I will follow up
just
right away.
sharing,
I
sharing
appreciate
what
that.
our hope and expectation is, if that's possible. Okay.
Yeah. One thing, we use the term, it's not user-friendly. I think it's more, it's non-functional or non-usable as it is. So we're not just complaining that it's hard to use, it just
Yeah.
didn't work.
It didn't work. It was
Yeah.
like hitting a brick wall.
But everyone was experiencing it.
it's like, I just want to make a simple donation, but
So that's where we're at with that part. We did talk about and decide that the annual Patrons of the Callahan House Appreciation event should be hosted in February, and the first event would be held in 2026. It will be an introductory event, so it's not going to be a full-blown celebration event like what we would anticipate going forward, but it is an opportunity to really introduce and promote, and hopefully if we have a system up and functioning by September and we're really able to begin promoting heavily the rest of the year, it's possible we'll gain some momentum there. February is a good time of year because it is a slower time in the house, but also more importantly for the patrons. It's not right at the very beginning of the year, but it's early enough that it is a reminder, a thank you for what they've done the last year, and that an update as a reminder for their tax purposes to check to make sure that their donation may be tax deductible, check with their tax advisor. And then also a way for us to help ask them to further support and encourage others to begin to be part of the patron program. And so early enough in the year to promote it that way as well. So we decided on that. We'll be adding more and discussing more about our contacts that we're putting on that patrons spreadsheet list, and then also discussing more about how we're sharing that information. And for example, some of those sources of information include the recreation department being quarterly or seasonal, the constant contact group email by recreation department, the Callahan House email, city line insert, so then the utilities bill, the senior center, and other services within the city that could also help promote the Longmont magazine, PBS, Longmont Public Media, Boulder County Magazine, the Yellow Sea clubs and organizations that we're members of or are aware of. So those are an initial list of outreach of ways we can share, and that would include potentially going to a chapter meeting of any of those clubs to share the information about the patrons of Callahan House. Additionally, we did determine it would be helpful to prepare information about historic restoration and preservation projects that have been completed, including their costs, as well as upcoming projects, including estimated costs, and including even specific items needing care. And that is so that we can provide a nice overview for anyone who's considering becoming a patron to understand how funds have been used before, where the sources of funding have come from, and the projects that are coming forward. And so that will be something that we can include in how we further promote the program. So that's the recap of the committee meeting. I do think we need to schedule our next committee meeting so that we can come together and do further work on the contacts list, but also on the approach of our outreach for sharing information. So at that, can we look at another meeting? Do you feel like, would anyone be okay with piggybacking off of the digitized scrapbook meeting?
I think we're going to run out of time, Karen. We only have until 12:30 to work on that.
It's 3 hours.
3 hours? Do we need 3 hours?
I feel like
for
that's
the digitized?
2 90-minute committees.
You think we can get?
I think it's possible. I mean, if you're
I think it's worth a try, and then you'll inevitably need a follow-up meeting anyway. So
My question is there anything that we can achieve at this time until we know more about
The process.
the process?
the collection of the contacts, which we can do via email.
We just send them to you, so.
So is there a necessity to have a meeting?
If you don't want to, we can put it off till the August, or touch base about it again in August to make it a committee meeting.
I
Okay.
believe that would be best.
All right, so we'll just revisit in August.
And I'm being selfish because I know that we're all going to like to complain.
well, then there's space for a different meeting maybe after that.
Yeah,
for
That's
a
what I
walk
just
or-
said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm being selfish.
That's fine. No, it's fine, perfectly fine. So
I'm teasing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean.
I do. Okay, and then so we will. Are there any questions or concerns about that? Any of that? No. Okay, so we will then move on to the future restoration and preservation.
The big topic here is the dining set. I did reach out to all of the companies that we had received quotes from to ask about the further information that we were looking for, the details about the process, etc. And I created kind of a little form for them to fill out. Unfortunately, I have yet to hear from anyone. I followed up twice, but I'm going to keep trying. We've got time still, for that, but I'm going to keep pushing them to get that information. I did get one other company that I had reached out for a quote that didn't submit a quote at the time, but is able to now. So they're coming out, I don't remember, sometime in the next couple of weeks to see the project in person, submit a quote, and they already have the extra information and understand that that's kind of a required part of the quote process. So that's unfortunately still working on getting that stuff.
And that extra process is the burnished part that matches.
In general, what is your detailed process for each aspect of the scope of the project, and all the other information that we were asking for. So
I just wanted a clarification from my head. Thank you.
yeah.
Am I understanding it correctly that you've already put in the request, or it's going to be put in the request in the
It's
budget?
already put in for a
for what
budget
the
request.
higher amount was, what our original quote was. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that regardless, one way or another, if it's the original quote or if it's others,
Yeah,
then
the amount that was
the
put in for
amount
was
should be covered.
$30,000. The original quote from Memory Lane was about $28,000. I did also reach out to Pam in purchasing just to see what is required if we are choosing a higher quote. And so, there'll be some legwork there just to show like why we want to. She felt for this type of project it would, kind of lend itself to explaining that a higher level of skill may be needed. So, but we will have to prepare something that shows all of the information that we received from all of the quotes and why we'd like to go with a higher quote if that ends up being the case.
And on that line, Questers wanted to present to the board a check next month and have possibly a reporter from the Times-Call here to take photos.
During the board meeting?
Yes. To receive the funds that they raised specifically for this project.
Okay.
If that's works.
Yeah.
With this,
Is that
with the
something
board.
that should go?
Do you want that in
It's
new
under
business?
it's under restoration, isn't it?
Do you want
I
it
think
in new
we could
business?
have them
Yes,
come.
in regards to this. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you, do you want it in new business? Because it's I know it has to do with this project, but it kind of is specific to the Questers and, do you want the Questers
How about under
highlighted?
public invited
Yeah.
to be
It should
heard,
be
so
under
that
public
it's-
invited.
Okay.
Yeah, and
At
we'll make
the-
a note
at
that
the
that's
August
happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
so then they can move off and,
Yeah.
and we can
Okay.
continue with our meeting
Okay.
if that is acceptable to the board.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's in agreement. So
No snide comments allowed.
Is that the
I know these ladies.
is that the completion of restoration and preservation?
Yeah, I think that's what's important to talk about now.
And now, restricted areas and encampment mitigation.
Most of the fencing project is done. We're waiting on the gate and the finials for the ornamental steel section. It's just
It looks great.
back order. Yeah, I think it all turned out really well. Grow was really instrumental in this process, helping to properly clear out some of the vine and things growing on this section so that they can come back fresh next year. They fully expect for all of that to grow back over time. But yeah, we're really happy with how all of it turned out.
That's why I
think
came
it
in
looks
late.
great.
I wanted to walk
You're
out there.
admiring, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to check it out.
So is the intention for the vines that are on the back side of the fence on the alley to regrow over the fence?
Yeah, so there was some thought at the beginning about kind of trying to reattach them to the existing fence, but the thought from Grow, we referred to their expertise, was to clear it out because there was actually a lot of dead material behind there, and so that way they can start growing fresh next year. And of course, it will take some time for all the vine to grow back, but in the beds here, that stuff will be back with us next year. But
What they did notice in the back of the auto house are some of the trumpet vines that are growing up on the house itself. And typically it's not a good idea to have any vines growing on any buildings because the little feelers that the vines put out to attach themselves can actually get into the mortar joints and do damage, and also get in the wood either through joints or something. So I would suggest considering removing any vines that are growing on the structure.
well, they did cut those in such a way that they left that section on purpose. But I guess if that's of interest to the board, that's
I think it's worth
something we can
considering.
look
The
into.
vines look great on the chain link fence. They
Yeah.
beautifully cover the fence,
I
but
agree.
typically it's not a good idea to have any vines growing
I
on any
agree.
structure.
And the trumpet vine can become very strong, do a lot of damage.
Okay. Is that-
Take a look at it.
Yeah.
like
We'll
just-
take a look at it.
Okay.
See what's going on.
I know it looks pretty, but they do so much damage. It's just one of those things I really do the job of that.
But as Jeff said, it's excellent on the chain link fence, perfect there,
Yeah.
but not on a structure, not on a building.
Do you feel that will will mitigate your issue that you had?
It will certainly help a great deal. Who knows what other creative things people will come up with, but it will help to keep people out of those restricted areas where the more nefarious things are taking place.
Okay.
So
And so,
yeah, I'm very
good.
glad to have this almost done.
good.
Yeah.
Are they doing some gates or something in the stairs to the basement of the auto house?
It's done.
It's all
yeah.
this stuff. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. So everything's done other than we're still waiting on the gate, on the ornamental steel and the finials. Otherwise, it's all complete.
Wow.
Yeah. And the light fixtures have been installed as well.
They look good.
You guys saw those, but good. That's all I've got for that.
Okay. Then committee updates. We start with Art Walk.
Well, I'd like to schedule Art Walk directly on the 22nd. Following the digital scrapbook, and we should be looking at where we're looking at putting artists. I was wondering, Brittany, do you have a copy? I have a hard copy of the garden outline.
Okay.
Do you have one that you could, a digital copy
Sure.
that you could send me?
Yeah.
So we could do placement.
Yeah. Yes. And then in terms of updates, I did send out another. So I had sent out the reminder whenever we talked about doing that a few weeks ago. Didn't get any. I think I got one more added since then. So I think we're at 11, including the Callahan artwork. And then I sent out another reminder. Maybe that was Monday or the end of last week. That it's due, on the 15th, and so I've gotten a couple more declines since then. I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 people that we haven't heard from either way, but we might be looking at maybe a dozen artists this year, which is fine.
Which is way more than we've had in the past. When we're talking about 2 or 3, this is a huge jump still, even at that.
Yeah.
And did we have any huge individual requests for specific areas?
Not at this point, but I think after the 15th. Well, we actually no. We've had a couple that know, I need to be inside or whatever, and that's notated on the sheet. But I think after the 15th, if we're still going to kind of close it at that point, which seems like we probably still should, just so we can get everything in place. I think if we get a dozen, that's still great, and then work on the placement aspect.
Will you be able to provide the updated spreadsheet to us so that we can work from that?
And I wasn't sure if I love the spreadsheet. I think it's fabulous. You're great about doing all of that. It's just if somebody verbally requested it just didn't get updated.
Yeah, the only requests that I've heard of are in the sheet. I think there's been a couple for inside or whatever, but
okay. And then we have.
Did Jeff Gothier respond to you?
Probably I'd have to look at the sheet.
Okay. We do have Matthew Popkin, the city councilman, that's going to be coming and doing music, and we're trying to do get that coordinate that, but. Like in the past, I believe we do want a contract of some kind, even though we're not paying them. How do we want to work that?
We actually really did a contract before.
Didn't we do a contract with Sal?
I don't remember doing a contract with him, but maybe.
I could have sworn that we did a contract with him.
I think it was more just that he signed up to be a vendor so that he could be paid.
Okay.
So not necessarily like a direct contract with us. We're calling, but
I'm sorry,
and
my
so these guys are doing
misunderstanding.
it. Oh no, that's fine. These guys are doing it pro bono, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Maureen, who did you say is going to entertain?
Well, so far we've got the city councilman Matthew Popkin. He is going to come and bring his speakers and his setup and going to entertain. And we also have
The bandits are going to come.
They're bandits.
Yeah.
Have you heard if they're planning to use our equipment or not?
He does not want to use your equipment.
Okay.
so.
Okay. Well, then they can come and set up as they need to. Okay.
Trying to make it easy peasy because I know it's a special day.
So does that cover everything for Art Walk for
Yeah.
now? Okay, but we'll
At this
address
time.
it at the committee meeting.
We'll
Okay.
address more at the committee meeting.
Okay, then moving on to the next committee is the room-by-room tour booklet. Jeff, you lead that.
Yes, we met a week or so ago and started to develop a draft of what we anticipate handing out to people who are coming to walk through the house. And the idea of this is to give them something in hand that they can use while they're here. I think we've mentioned that in the past, but look at doing a trifold. We do we'll have a brief description about the Callahan House without the family that people can glance over if they would like. I could actually pass this around. Again, this is just a draft in process. The idea would be a trifold, the picture of the house on here, and then a brief description, which ended up being on the back of the trifold. And then inside the trifold, we're planning on having 2 floor plans, at least graphically identifies the very space that we're talking about. And then also listing 2 items or so in each room that people can go through and say, oh, I see, there's, light fixture that's of importance or original, maybe some information about the wood, about the floors, about the lead glass, but just do a couple of items in each room so as people go through they can see what we're suggesting highlight, and they can note in this room and then move to the next room and note a couple of other things. This may actually be something just 2 pages.
I think Jeff has done a tremendous job, and I think we've done a good job at
It'll be the front and back.
minimizing what people are looking at while they're trying to walk through.
Can we put something on the way out, or maybe in each room somewhere, a tray of some sort that just says recycle? And so if they want to turn these in, it's...
I would highly recommend that.
Yeah.
You could-
Yeah.
I think we want to kind of make sure that they get turned in, because we're not like trying to hand out anything that people are taking with them. We need to make it clear that this item is meant to stay in the house, and then along with that, it's the booklet for sale.
Correct.
And the sort of QR digital tour as well.
I don't know that our intention is to keep them.
I'm not sure that I agree with that completely, Brittany. I want people to recycle them if they're not going to utilize them. But if somebody wants to take one, I don't think we should,
What we discussed is that in order to kind of promote, the sale of the booklet, is that's like if you want to have a take home,
Right.
that you can purchase the booklet, and that the handouts in the house would be laminated and kept in the house, as if somebody wants a physical thing to walk through instead of doing the digital tour. So it's basically like the tour that's provided within the house is either digital or hard copy, and then if you want to take something with you, that you purchase the booklet.
I think the
we've
committee has
discussed.
a different view of that, or perspective of that.
Well, the idea is to get away from like the printing that we've been doing, just to be a little more green,
Well, we certainly understand
and to
that for
promote
sure.
the booklet
Yeah.
sales.
I mean, the booklet and the handout are 2 completely different things.
Right.
And the booklet is not intended to go through or walk through the house. It's going to be far more detailed. I certainly support people being able to turn it back in if they would like. I still like the idea of having this in people's houses. It's going to be something that may remind them of the Callahan House. For us, what they're doing, repeat visiting, maybe something other people can see while they're at someone's house.
It's a
Well,
conversation.
this is
I
certainly
just-
an improvement from the 2
Yeah.
legal size pages that we're
Right,
handing out
right.
right now, but the intention of this project originally was to get away from all of the printing for this in general. So, and that's what we had talked about. So this is a change from that, but it's still an improvement. But I think we should make it clear that we're encouraging people to recycle them, but
Right.
I'm not going to chase anybody out
What
the door
about
if they take it with them.
what about a hybrid, where we have the laminated ones to carry around, and then if you'd like to take one, then please do.
Do
That's
people
so
like to
icky.
handle laminated things that other people have handled in the past?
I personally don't think that is very classy. It is not it's not a good reflection of the house. I think it's acceptable to have a single front and back page trifold that has, as Jeff has explained, and he's got a beautiful vision of have the floor plan, main floor and second floor, and just the specific little bullet points that highlights, not a whole lot of detail, just enough to get them through the house and interested, and then potentially want to purchase the tour room book. However, this is a conversation piece. It's a lead for them during their self-guided tour. It's also a conversation piece that they take with them and they can share with others. And on it, we'll also promote not just the house and what it's here for and what it's used for now, and the historic restoration and preservation and why it's important, but the patrons program. This is an opportunity to reach further in our community and beyond by the people who just simply walk through a tour and they just grab that simple little brochure and they find that interesting enough to say, taking this with me. I have some people I want to share this with. And I don't think that is too much to ask, that we're printing one
That's fine.
page.
We can move forward with that. I said it's an improvement from what we were doing previously. It's
And
not what was discussed, but this is what we can move forward with.
I still think that it's a win-win in the sense of we still put out recycle baskets, and if somebody chooses not to take it, we can put it very nicely and say, please recycle. And then people can choose to recycle if they want to. It's right there, and we can do that. And if somebody wants to take it with them, they have that opportunity.
I think one piece that would be helpful in being able to put these into people's hands is somewhere that it says an event center. That we use this as an advertising piece and look at it that way. Because that's an opportunity. It doesn't say anything yet about event center,
Right.
but that's how we present it, and therefore we can justify using paper more so, I think.
I wonder if at the end of the
In the paragraph section.
about
on the second
Callahan
column.
House,
That's intended to be
if
added.
we
This is
if we
very
have one
early
last
draft.
sentence that says,
Paragraph.
for much more information,
Yeah.
a booklet is available
Yeah.
here on the tour. And maybe say you can also go to blah 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 to see it more online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's our intent to put more here.
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten.
Yeah, but I mean that
But yes,
ought
to
to be
include that there.
included.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, to include
That
that
way
there.
we
It is
are
it's
encouraging.
promoting the house, what it's here for and how it can be used as well.
Mhm.
So,
Right. Yeah.
Good job, Jeff.
so Jeff,
And
Right.
Karen. And Karen.
And Maureen. It's definitely a group effort.
and Cindy, we were all in this working together. So, Jeff, how do you want to proceed? Do we need to meet again to continue to work on the language and include what we had intended to include regarding the patron program and the use of the house and how, and then have the floor plans put in there,
Yeah.
continue to add the bullets that we're still
Right.
wanting
Why
to fill in?
don't we do that, and I think we'd have and I think we all may want to comment on this, because at first we've seen it since our meeting, include the additional items, plans, and then we can have basically a final draft for review that everyone can look at it and comment on.
Point of order. Do you guys need to extend your meeting for like 15 minutes or something like that in accordance with the?
We do. We're scheduled till 11:30 and it's now 11:29.
Do we have time to go longer as needed? If
So
anybody needs to depart, then.
No, I'm
So-
fine. I just
So do we move to extend the meeting to complete this agenda and potentially be done by noon? Does that sound acceptable?
Yes.
Usually.
I move that
Usually,
we,
perhaps.
I move that we extend the meeting until we complete
I just
the
wondered
agenda.
if you guys sometimes with council we
Yeah, thank
have to
you.
extend it, and I just
Yeah.
don't want you guys.
Is there a second on that?
I second.
Julie second. And are we all in agreement? Is this approved?
Yeah.
Is it unanimous? So thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. So then, Jeff, are you going to email people what your hope is to have collected and done before next board meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll just revisit it in the August board meeting. Okay. And then the next is the fall tea, which we do need to schedule. So
How long do you think the fall meeting will take?
I think an hour should be sufficient. We need to complete the language for the invitation. We need to complete the list for the invitees. We need to designate when we're going to send that out, and if it is going to be electronic. If it will be electronic, which I think is the hope, is the majority of it will be electronic, but others may need paper invitations. So the next available for meetings would be the 24th is the summer open house, so that's a lot to put on people on a day. So then
We should have a tea party at your house to discuss it.
Don't do it.
if everyone wants to bring their devices, because we're all going to be crafting this language together. But I think, well, first off, who all is participating? Maybe we'll make a decision that way. Cindy and Maureen. Okay. I'll tell you what. On this note, I think I will reach out to each of you to decide where we can meet offsite, so that it is simplified and it is just going to be the three of us. But if anyone is interested, please let me know, and I'll include you in the email so you'll know where and when we're going to meet. But is it okay if I reach out to you after or later today and just touch base and say, all right, when can we get together? Okay.
Thank you, Karen.
It'll be more informal that way. Okay, and then on to holiday decorating. And Candy, you lead that.
Yes, we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That's still agreeable with the committee? Okay.
And we'll be here.
Here, yes. And as far as the pieces I think we need to know before we can proceed, have you spoken with Chris at all?
I've reached out, but we still don't, and he's responded, but they still don't have the dates solidified or any of that. So I'm thinking at this point that we should kind of plan to decorate the house kind of as we normally would with whatever changes want to be adopted this year, and then plan to have them fill in, from there with the vendors or whatever. Because the only thought that I had was that if somebody can come to this every year for free, we need to make sure that it's special this year if people are expected to pay for it, through Habitat. But so kind of doing our normal and then letting them bring in the extra flair or whatever. But yeah, still don't have the dates. I did also talk to him about the marketing piece, and he said that we can, market, but that we should work collaboratively with them in terms of what that looks like and all of that.
So my question is, do we want to leave them certain trees to decorate?
I don't know what.
Yeah, that was my question.
Do they bring in trees?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want me to reach out to?
Just if you want to, that would be great. Just whatever more information you need about what they would bring in potentially. Is that okay?
That would
if you don't mind, Candy, that would I would appreciate that.
I'll do that before Thursday. And maybe there's another person I can contact that she may have more information.
Okay.
Anyway, then in addition to that, we kind of need to know what is here beyond, if there's anything beyond what we normally use. And if anybody has pictures
It's all up in the attic, isn't it?
of what we have done, like last year or whatever, that would be great to have pictures to look at, but to know what we have.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically it's all labeled per, this tree is for this room and these decorations are for this tree in this room. I don't believe there's much else besides what is typically used.
Okay.
Last year we kind of got rid of some things that we talked
went
about.
through a lot of stuff that was just old and tired.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a lot extra. There might be a few things that
the tubs are clear, so we could go up to the attic and look.
not necessarily all of them, but they're labeled.
Okay.
So,
Well, if we have
but
the-
you'd be welcome to go up there as long as everything stays in the same organization.
But if we have the
generally is
pictures,
done, but-
and that's pretty much all we have, there's no need then to go up and rummage around.
if there's anything extra, it's not much, but
Okay. So then,
In terms of pictures, I don't know.
But then I think,
think
the
you
one
took
thing that
pictures,
is the
didn't you,
driving
Ruby?
thing is
Hmm?
the Santa tree is the one that you had specific opinion about that.
well, that leads me to the next thing that I was going to say. Do we want to come up with a theme? And you have leaned towards wanting us to do more of the Victorian and keeping with the era of the house.
Yeah, I think that's an opportunity for some historic education, like what did the Victorians use to decorate, and I think that's an interesting area for education and a historical immersion opportunity.
And then the next big question, is there a budget?
It would be part of the supply budget, so there's some money for that. I don't have an exact number, but the supply budget is used regularly throughout the year. I believe last year we had a little extra on that. So I guess what I would maybe say is like, how much do you think you might need to spend? And then I can kind of work
Tell us
from
what we can
there.
spend.
But yeah.
So I had a question. So the Victorians used those clips with the candles. Is that something you would want on there?
Fake ones.
Not the real ones.
We don't allow real candles in the house,
I
but
don't-
yes, and then they make things out
I
of.
try to find a fake candle or something.
Kind of
No.
flicker would be nice.
Well, I know, but I don't know how to do that on those clips.
Or even if
Well,
it's a
oh,
candle
you're
that's
saying-
not lit, I don't know. Maybe like if we have lights on the tree and then there's the candles also that aren't lit.
That's what I'm saying is
Stuff like that.
I have a tree at my home with Victorian clips. Not that I'm donating those, just so
Yeah.
you know. But
yeah, those and
I
these-
put candles in them. I never light them.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. They use dried fruit. They made things out of paper. They,
Yeah.
I think that tree might be a good opportunity for that, like sort of educational piece.
Okay.
So those are the things we're going to discuss at the meeting then tomorrow.
Yeah.
Our brainstorming ideas of what we can do. They do make those kinds of candles, so to speak. They're not real, but they do light, and they would give that flair. We don't have to be 100% authentic. We can replicate. They know what era this is, and they know darn well that we're not going to have the real deal.
Well,
And so,
my thought is what we could do is we could do that, and then maybe have one or two that if she's doing a tour, she could say, and this is what they look like.
okay, we'll discuss all that kind of
But
stuff.
we're not going to light anything.
No.
I just want to make that very clear. Okay. Just making sure. Okay.
No, I'm not.
No
Bring
flames,
it-
no
Bring it back
gases.
in here. Let's bring it
And
back
then we'll
in.
put the sand buckets next to the tree. And, no.
And the permanent markers
those will be like-
available to draw. No, we're not doing any destruction.
No.
Jeff, you have a
Do
question?
you
Okay,
want
so-
any live trees?
so those are the
or live,
things-
real.
I think that also might be something you want to steer away from because of the
Yeah.
water and the mess.
Oh,
Right now we use it's all artificial
Right.
trees. Yeah.
So make sure Habitat knows that
Oh, they do.
for their vendors that.
Do they use live
Yeah.
trees in their
Yeah, no.
things? Okay.
Because that would be a liability with floors and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah. So that's what the meeting will be tomorrow then. So bring a list of ideas and suggestions, pictures if you have clipped them or have them, and everybody's welcome to come contribute. I'll reach out to Chris in the meantime, see if I can get any more information. If we want to have it, I guess our theme would be just Christmas past or something like that, maybe. So, okay.
Thanks.
Anything else? Okay.
Okay.
Time wise, it's 1 o'clock. Yeah,
Thank you.
2 hours tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the summer open house, which is Thursday the 24th from 5 to 7. Again, we are not going to promote the patrons of Callahan House at that open house. But everyone planning to attend and
Yes.
serve as docent. Julie,
I'm
I believe you're
excused.
out of town. Okay, that's right, if I remember right. So everybody else is set, and we can just select which rooms we would all like to serve in on that when we gather together before. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then we can move on to new business, which in part we've covered, but basically we're sort of complementing the decorations of Habitat, but the bones of it are are what is going to be done by the committee and decided by the committee, and the trees that are already kind of established
Is this-
themes, right?
With clarification from.
With clarification. But I think what we do is proceed ahead with our own decorations and decorating the house how we would like to.
Okay.
And then the vendors can, if we have a vendor,
Yeah.
can decorate around us.
Yeah, I think one thing to be mindful of is, sorry, Maureen, is there's not a lot of room for extra trees. So if they do need trees, we'll need to make note of that. But maybe one place where there could be extra trees would be the upstairs room. But otherwise, it's kind of one tree per room where we have it is kind of what fits. But
Question, is this something that we're going to put in or try to promote through the city, like the city water bill, where they talk about all the holiday stuff that's
City
going on?
line, yeah, it'll be. I mean, with guidance from Habitat. So they did say that we could mark it, but that we need to work through a strategy
I'm going to
together.
suggest that we really go for that one because that's a big one that we could promote.
Yeah, we use City. Yeah, City Line is used for everything other than just like the class programs. that
Yeah,
we
but
use,
I'm
so.
thinking if we could use the city line specifically to show how we're interacting with this group, I think that would be a win-win
Yeah.
for the community overall.
So bring your suggestions tomorrow also for.
So it would also be letting the community know we're not having the annual free open house.
I think that would be important to
Yeah.
do because otherwise we'll have some pretty upset people.
Yeah.
Is it possible to include that in the recreation department's advertisement where we normally would, we would have the Santa opportunity advertised, and then we also would normally have open house in the same thing, but this time we can do Santa registration, and in lieu of an open house, we're supporting.
And remember, and we
Yeah, I
can
think
somehow
humanity
state it, it's a fundraiser.
And this is
Yeah,
a
as
fundraiser.
we market this Habitat for Humanity event, we'll make note that the regular open house is not happening. Not necessarily in conjunction with Santa, because the marketing for that is very
Specific.
down and specific. Yeah, but as we market this, we'll mention
Okay.
why the open house is not taking place as normal.
Any other question or comment? Okay, at the end of that, we'll move on to just a quick thing. We've covered items from staff, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and now we're at items from the board. Does anyone have any items to discuss or share? Okay. If no one does, I do have one, and that is as I mentioned in the last meeting, I would put together an annual events calendar. I think I'd like to have everyone have a copy of this draft, and yeah, that is right. So that we can put this on a future agenda to review and discuss just briefly to the extent of what is out there and what should we be potentially considering. And again, we're setting this up for a final decision for the board that's going to be serving in January, but we need to acknowledge what those regular events are, what optional and additional events are, which could be ice cream social like we've done in the past, unity and community like we had hoped to do this year, and then the purpose of the events, which I think is really important to remember. Why do we do these events? What purpose are we serving? And these 4 bullet point items are really the keys to why we do these. So I'd like everyone to be able to take this and digest it, come back next month with any comments or questions or additions so that we can have a discussion just about this, not so much that it's going to be decided on, but do we have anything else more to discuss before we table this and say, all right, this is going to be discussed in the January bill.
And finalized in January.
Yeah. Well, discussed and determined and finalized. Well, just acted on in January, I should say. Acted on in January. That's appropriate.
Okay. First of all, thank you for doing this. And I know that I forget things all the time, and I've been on the board for a while now. So this is a good reminder for all of us. And for the people that are new to the board, for the people that are new to the board, it's all good to know about what we've done, and then it opens up the discussion point. So
Thank you.
So is this for
what-
new business for August?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you want it to be called?
Annual events calendar. Okay, is there any other item from the board? No, okay. At this time, it's 11:45. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Moves. And is there a second?
Second.
Maureen seconds. All in favor? Aye. Are we all in agreement?